We've noticed over the last couple of years with the struggling economy, a lot of companies have cut back on their budgets. They're still under a lot of pressure to get their products to market as quickly as possible. And we found that companies are really struggling about what can they do to make better decisions to make sure their products are on time and on budget and get access to that information as quickly as possible to make sure that they are meeting those targets. We surveyed over 300 companies with all different industries, different sizes around the world. And we took a look at how these companies performed. We asked them a series of performance metrics and then classified how the survey respondents responded to those performance metrics to rank the top 20% best performing companies as the best in class. The middle 50% were classified as the industry average, and then the bottom 30% as the laggards. And then we really focused on what are those best-in-class companies doing that's really different from their competitors and helping them be more successful. To understand how companies could improve their decision-making process, we took a look at the top design strategies that companies are trying to implement and just not having success with. And we found that the #1 strategy was design for cost. So why is design for cost so difficult? We took a look at that, and it really comes down to one thing: time. Engineers don't have the time to gather the information that they need. The processes are very manual and spreadsheet driven, and just getting the proper visibility, it takes too much time and the information's not there. So clearly there's a huge opportunity to make that information more accessible, more automated, more streamlined so that engineers can make the right decisions more efficiently and on time. How does that impact the process? 18% of development time is spent just collecting metrics. That's almost an entire day just collecting information, non-value added work that could be used more efficiently. So imagine the opportunity to put it towards innovation and reduce some of that time. We look at engineering change orders. An engineering change order at the end of the development cycle costs 75% more than if it's at the beginning of the process. So if engineers have the ability to make better decisions earlier on, there's a tremendous cost savings there. Another example, we found that each new part number that's added costs over $4,000. So if you think about just 10 new parts, that's an extra $40,000 that could pay for another engineer and accelerate your development process. We also found the #1 issue having a negative impact on the success of a product was that products actually cost a lot more than budgeted. Now, to understand what worked best, we wanted to look at what best-in-class companies are doing. We looked at the change in product cost over 2 years, and best-in-class companies were able to reduce their product cost by 7%. The industry average, on the other hand, pretty much didn't see any change. They saw only a 1% decrease. The laggards actually saw a 3% increase. So imagine the competitive disadvantage they're at with actually adding cost or very little change in cost, while the best-in-class actually are taking 7% out. To further define best-in-class companies, we took a look at their ability to launch products on time, meet product cost targets, meet quality targets, and meet revenue targets. And best-in-class companies were able to meet their targets on 8 to 10 of the last 10 products that they released. The industry average met their targets 5 to 7 out of every 10 products. And the laggards only met their targets on 3 to 4, so really at a significant disadvantage again. So the point is, the best-in-class are taking 7% of their product cost out, but they're not doing it at the expense of meeting their launch dates. They're hitting their product cost targets. They're not sacrificing quality. Because they're meeting all of those targets, they're able to meet their revenue targets too. With the best-in-class companies seeing so much success, the obvious question is, what are they doing to achieve their success? We found that the top strategy is they're improving visibility to cost drivers for engineering early in the development cycle and then making it available throughout the entire process. And engineering has this visibility as well as other departments beyond engineering. What are they doing to get that visibility? The engineers are starting their first cost assessment just looking at the preliminary bill of material. And they're also looking at different sources of cost. They're looking at different design alternatives, making sure they're picking the design that's going to meet requirements but be most economical, looking at different material costs, looking at alternate manufacturing locations and weighing that against shipping cost, evaluating different suppliers. Then they're also taking a look at cost assessment in the engineering change workflow, picking the most economical way to execute that engineering change order, and even making sure it makes sense to move forward with that engineering change order. Some of the tools that the best-in-class companies are using are product cost management and estimation tools. They allow you to automate the process of looking at different design alternatives, access databases of material cost, machining cost, supplier costs, and arrive at a really good estimate very, very quickly. Another thing is feature-based cost modeling. Take a look at a CAD model and weigh the impact of different features within that CAD and understand how they add to the cost of the product. Here's an interesting story about a best-in-class company, an industrial equipment manufacturer who really needed better visibility to their supplied cost. What they used to have to do is submit their bids to multiple different suppliers and found it was a very long process. Now when the design is about 2/3 done, they use a product cost estimation tool that gives them a really good estimated cost. Now they only need to go to one supplier, they know if that bid is good, and if it comes in a little too high, they can have a fact-based conversation using the estimated cost that they've already got to make sure that they can negotiate a better price. So they actually are saving time because they no longer need to submit multiple bids. They actually have a better relationship with their supplier because the supplier knows that when they get a bid from them, they're going to be going with them, so the supplier's more responsive to them, and they're also getting better prices. The end result is they're actually saving 10% of the cost of their supplied components. To sum it up, we recommend analyze multiple sources of cost, evaluate the cost of an engineering change order within the change workflow, take advantage of product cost estimation tools, and use feature-based cost modeling. Design for costs can be really challenging, but with the right tools, the data clearly shows there's a lot of opportunity for success.